This is a video response, but it's sort of a subject that always needs clarification, I think. The word intelligence it's complex in that the word can be used two different ways, at least two. Obviously, intelligence, the CIA would call information intelligence, raw data. And then obviously there's the concept of a combined or a owned knowledge base by a human being, and we will give a definition of intelligence. There's even an intelligence test that will indicate certain aptitude and qualify that as a measure of intelligence. And it's not necessarily measuring maybe the capacity of the machine to use intelligence, but it's not necessarily measuring how intelligent the machine is. For me, a quantum leap in my understanding of intelligence was recognizing that humanity has traditionally used intelligence as nothing more than a scheming tool. It's a hammer. It's just a thing we apply to the world around us to get what we want. It makes us we use it to figure out how the better way to mug thy neighbor. That's what we use it for. We use it to find ways of manipulating our world to get what we want. And for me, understanding that intelligence, there's a huge difference between using intelligence and essentially allowing intelligence to own us, to use us as the vehicle for its own growth. Not that intelligence has any desire, but intelligence has built into its very structure almost a will to expand itself, to grow, to achieve complete understanding. It's like the first really intelligent thought would be the inspiration to say, I must know more. I must have a better, more complete understanding of the circumstance. I mean, it's almost compelled to do that when it's freed. But that's the key issue here, is the idea of seeing intelligence as something we own, or seeing intelligence as an entity, a thing that has its own mission, that it's built out of information that in turn creates new information. And it has motives or definitions. It reveals truth, and in revealing truth, it understands things like equations, mathematical and ethical, in terms of we can evaluate and understand what means something and what does not mean something, what is good, what is evil, what is wise, what is foolish. And there are some built-in logical, we can't just call logic some arbitrary thing. I mean, there are certain rules of thinking, but there's also certain just facts that just seem so apparent. I mean, obviously a careful decision is better than a reckless decision. We can understand the difference between those two things. One is going to have a higher probability of producing an appropriate behavior. I mean, not that recklessness can't accidentally work out, but the point is the obvious logic or intelligence or wisdom of applying caution is just innately valid. And there are all kinds of little truths like that intelligence is built out. And those little truths, when we allow intelligence to own us, will prevent us from abusing intelligence, because intelligence can create the rules to allow us to understand what we are allowed to do or what we are not allowed to do, how we are allowed to abuse intelligence or how we are allowed to use intelligence. These are things that become obvious. And so there's let's say there's a point, a point where intelligence becomes almost a different thing. It is almost like a critical mass, where you put in enough ingredients and it explodes in terms of the real power. The real power is in separating us from some crude, stupid nature that's compelling us. And that's, the title, Idiots Owning Intelligence. I mean, it's an oxymoron, but it's the truth, because you need enough intelligence to be really intelligent. You can't really be intelligent if you don't have enough intelligence to know that there's forces inside of you attempting constantly to use your intelligence for purposes that aren't intelligent. This video is a response to the modern mystic, and he's said a couple of key things. He doesn't like objective and subjective. These are words. He doesn't like the word intelligence even. And I understand what he's saying, because he's kind of made it clear that, yeah, intelligence in mankind's hands has just been a club. It's just been something to smash and destroy, and we can't responsibly use it, so we probably shouldn't have it. And well, I would argue that we need to go through the stage. We need to go through our infancy. I mean, there's just a way of getting around it. And so if we turn off the intelligence before we mature, or allow it to mature, well, then we just wasted our time also. So I think we have to accept that intelligence is going to be abused. The point is, can we survive the abuse long enough to really get the real value out of intelligence? And so that's but the key point would be is that we just can't see intelligence as a scheming tool. It's not something to be applied based on our crude natural conditioning or our environmental conditioning, our emotions. These aren't things that should be allowed to use intelligence. Intelligence must be allowed to use itself, to apply itself. It must own us. I mean, I don't know how to. Here I'm trying to add definition, and I think I'm creating more fog. But I mean, that's the key point. It's just that people have to understand the difference between the subjective mind and the objective mind. We are two different people. Okay, part of us is need and want, and the intelligence part, so far, for many people, is just some kind of thing we use to get the need and want. Instead of using the intelligence to define our goals, we are using intelligence to achieve the goals. And the real value intelligence, the thing that makes intelligence, like I said, it just gives it critical mass, is allowing intelligence to actually define our goals as individuals and as a society. That's the magic of intelligence. That's the real potential of intelligence. So, until next time.